If you have switched your job 16 times and you're still having workload issues, it's not the job. It's you. It's you. The work environment may be toxic or unsustainable, but why do you keep choosing places like that? Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Balanced Business Coach. My name is Tony Robinson, and I am a life coach for leaders and a burnout prevention specialist. I help individuals and teams create more balance within their personal and professional lives so that they can make a bigger and better impact on the workplaces that they serve. Last week, I was a keynote speaker at a conference and I discussed burnout and the importance of releasing our stress so that we can fully unleash our potential personally and professionally. During the presentation, I asked the audience to give me some feedback or some examples of things that stress them out at work, and it was almost unanimously workload related, from not being able to catch up on your to-do list to endless calls or even difficult clients that make it harder to accomplish what you're trying to get through. The list goes on. There were so many examples that were given in regards to workload, and it reminded me how important it is to have the conversation about the intersection of workload and our internal belief systems and our habits. This is a huge factor when it comes to having a workload that is unsustainable. There are other things that factor into it, but I think this piece of it is missing a lot of the time. This may be controversial to some, and I know that a lot of people want to put the blame on toxic workplaces, which there is a conversation for that. I've talked about it many times. I'll link the videos down below. Don't come for me. But I also believe that people will only take advantage of what you allow. And if you aren't clear on what you will and will not tolerate from a job, they are going to set that for you. Doesn't matter how much you can actually handle or what is actually sustainable. If you continue to do the work and you don't say no, or you don't say, hey, I'm at capacity, then they're going to keep giving it to you. So I think it's important for us to recognize that there is a level of accountability that we as individuals need to take. If you have switched your job 16 times and you're still having workload issues, it's not the job. It's you. It's you. The work environment may be toxic or unsustainable, but why do you keep choosing places like that? It's similar to a toxic relationship or an abusive relationship. I think probably all of my relationships up until the point of my marriage were toxic or abusive relationships. And that was, I don't know, 3, 4 relationships. Like, I had a type. I had a type of relationship that I would go after because I wanted to change this person. I wanted to feel like I could save the day. I wanted to feel like if I could, make them better, then it would give me some sort of like badge of honor that I was able to do this thing. And I think the same thing happens in toxic workplaces where people get this fulfillment out of saving the day, out of taking on additional workload and feeling like they are the ones who are really leading the ship, or they are the ones who are really making an impact on the organization. But like, are you really, or are you just a workhorse? And I'm not saying that the toxicity or the abuse that is being done to an individual is the individual's fault. I'm saying that if the individual is continuing to choose these types of relationships or work environments, or they're choosing to ignore the red flags, then there is a level of accountability on that person. There is a choice that is being made. Anyway, I don't want to open that can of worms. That is a whole other conversation. What I want to talk about is workload and how sometimes it is an internal belief system. It is a habitual choice that we are making to continue to take on more and more and more, or to carry the heaviest load of the organization or of the partnership, whatever it is. Sometimes these things are not being done to you. They are being done as a choice by you. So today I'm going to get into several things that are going to help you when you are struggling with your workload to hopefully get you to a better place, a more balanced, fulfilled place personally and professionally. And with all of that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do when you are struggling with your workload is do a little bit of self-reflection and awareness practices. When it comes to your workload or when it comes to your job in general, what types of organizations are you choosing to work for? What types of jobs are you choosing to go for? Are they high stress environments? Are they high pressure jobs? Accepting a level of accountability at the industry or the specific job that you are choosing to have. Is it easier to stay in that role or stay in that type of environment because it's what you know and it's what you're used to? Or do you really have no other option? You also want to look at your patterns of how often you're accepting extra work. How often are you choosing to stay late? Is everyone else around you doing the exact same thing that you are? Or are you going above and beyond what's truly expected of you? Do you have a habit or a pattern of procrastinating? Are you maybe not as organized as you need to be? Start to reflect and identify where you are choosing certain behaviors or where you are falling short in certain areas of your job or when it comes to your workload. Are there things that you are holding on to and not delegating or not using automations or not eliminating completely because you're afraid of what that might mean? And that leads us into what is the root cause behind all of these behaviors and patterns that you have? Are you afraid of losing your job? Are you afraid of somebody coming in and replacing you? Are you afraid of technology replacing you? Are you afraid that you won't be worthy if you aren't taking on everybody's extra tasks or if you're not saying yes to everything? Are you afraid that people aren't going to like you if you tell them no? Are you afraid that someone's going to be mad at you because you make them actually do their job? You hold them accountable. Are you afraid of how they're going to react? What is the root cause of you continuing to choose jobs that require this high level of stress, of workload? What is the root cause of you continuing to take on extra work? What is the root cause behind you not holding others accountable or not delegating your work? And then really think about what led you to your current role? What were your past roles? What has gotten you to this current place in your career? Was it your passion? Was it survival or necessity? Was it something else? What was the thing that has led you to this current role where your workload is unsustainable? What choices have you made in the past that have led you to this point? And is this something that you saw modeled to you? Is this something that was ingrained in you, or are you choosing this? Is this something that is true of the industry that you're in or true of the role that you're in? And if that's the case, do you have a big enough passion to where that is what you want? Do you want to put everything you have into this role? There are certain industries like the fashion industry or the music industry where it is incredibly taxing and incredibly time consuming, and it literally requires so much of your being to be successful. But people choose those paths, and the people that choose it and are dedicated to it, they are, successful. But success is relative. That's where it's really important to know why am I doing this? Why am I taking this on? Why am I choosing this job? Why am I choosing this industry? What is it that's keeping me here? What is it that got me here? So all of that to say, make sure that if you are struggling with your workload, take a step back. I know it might be hard because you're overwhelmed, you feel inundated, but take a step back to evaluate, to assess, and just self-reflect and say, what am I doing here? What does all of this mean? How did I get here? And then once you've got that picture, you can start to make more informed decisions about how you want to operate or change things going forward. The second thing you want to address here is your internal belief system. Some people can really get stuck in a victim mindset. I know that there would be moments where I was really ebbing and flowing, and even still sometimes I go through these periods where I just feel like nothing is going my way. Nothing is going my way, and everything's against me, and life is just so hard, and there's no way that I'm ever going to be like happy again. Most of the time, it's like a once a month type of situation. If you catch my drift. But the point is, if you are in this space where you just see no light at the end of the tunnel, all you feel is negativity, all you see is problem after problem after problem, there are no solutions to your current circumstances, and this is just like all happening to you. If that is your current mindset, then it's really time to start turning that around. Because if your mindset is only focused on bad things that are happening to you or nothing's in your control, then I guarantee you that you will find evidence of that every single time. But if you are able to pull yourself out of that, no matter how challenging it may be sometimes, it is going to make a huge difference. Something that you could try doing in those moments where you feel like the world is just crashing down around you, or nothing is going your way, or like this is never going to end. You could do this practice. This is something I learned from Dr. Amen. He is like a brain doctor, but he talks about how there are these things called automatic negative thoughts, or ants. And when you have these, you can combat them, or you can try to overcome them by going through a process where you first ask yourself, is that true? Then you would say yes or no. And then you ask yourself again, is it absolutely true? Like without a doubt true? And then you answer yes or no. And then you ask, what do you want to be true instead? And then you write down 3 or more things that are evidence of that thing already being true. So if the automatic negative thought was, I'm never going to catch up on my to-do list, you would ask yourself, is that true? Well, maybe right now you feel like that. So you answer, yes, it's true. Well, is it absolutely true? Like without a doubt? Well, no, probably not. Okay, what do you want to be true instead? Well, I want it to be true that I could get through this to-do list within the end of the week. Okay, well, what are 3 things that you have evidence of that already supports that? Well, I have gotten through my to-do list within a week before. I have everything scheduled on my calendar, so I have a pretty good plan for how I could accomplish that. And I just had a meeting canceled, so I have extra space freed up for me to work towards other items on my to-do list. Start to give yourself that positive reinforcement that you actually have control over more than what you think. If you feed into the automatic thoughts that come into your brain, then you will find evidence of that and you will make that true for you. But if you try to combat them, if you try to reverse them, if you try to choose a different thought, because you get to choose what you believe. Thoughts are kind of like out of our control. They just come and go as they please. But just because you have a thought doesn't mean it has to be true. Thoughts are based on what we have seen in the past and what we're observing currently in the present. It has nothing to do with what is actually going to happen or what is actually true. It's all just based on data that our brain stores. So you can actually choose a different path. You can choose to make something untrue. The more you train your brain to see a positive way out, or the more you train your brain that you are the one in the driver's seat, the more you will actually see better results in your workload, in your happiness levels. All of that is going to significantly improve. And then the last piece that you want to consider are practical strategies for improvement. So first and foremost, when it comes to unsustainable workloads, or if you are feeling overwhelmed with your workload, ask yourself if you are in a toxic work environment, because if that is the case, that really changes a lot of what you need to do in order to overcome this. But again, like I said at the beginning, if you are continuing to find yourself in these types of environments, if you're continuing to choose jobs that are toxic, you probably need to address something with yourself. But if this is kind of the first time that this has happened to you, and you're just like, I don't know what to do because I've never been so overwhelmed in my life and I just need some relief, then I really want you to ask yourself, are you in a toxic workplace? Are you experiencing poor communication, negative behaviors from leadership, unsustainable workload, poor work conditions, maybe lack of boundaries, no opportunities for growth? All of these are kind of red flags or signs and symptoms of a toxic workplace. So please do your research, do some due diligence around whether you are in a toxic workplace. And if that is the case, then I would highly recommend making an exit plan for that organization. You do not need to be there. And if they are having unrealistic expectations of you or setting you up for failure, then maybe you need to choose somewhere else to go. It doesn't make you a failure because you're choosing to walk away from something that is not healthy for you. So that's the first thing. But if you are not in a toxic work environment and you are maybe just putting extra stress on yourself, or you're choosing to take on extra work, you're having a hard time saying no. Maybe you're a bit of a people pleaser. Maybe you're a bit of a perfectionist and you can't just let things go. You have to work and work and work and work and work until it's just perfect. Then this is a situation where, one, you want to learn to start setting boundaries. You need to start learning how to say no. And sometimes it's not even just about knowing how to say no, because I know you know how to say the words no, but it's about accepting that it's okay to say no. It's about reprogramming your beliefs around telling someone no. Your beliefs around no as a complete sentence, and not saying, well, I'm really sorry, but I can't right now because da 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 da. Like N-O period. You don't have to always explain yourself. You don't have to have a reason. And the biggest part of being able to set a boundary is believing that it's okay to do so. First and foremost, your practical strategy is to start believing in yourself that it is okay for you to set boundaries. Another way that you can set boundaries is starting to automate, eliminate, or delegate tasks. You don't have to do it all. Stop trying to hoard all the work so that you can look like the superhero. You don't have to be Superman or Superwoman. Start delegating things. If there are people who can take it on, delegate it. If there is new technology that is going to help you to automate things, automate it. If there are things that you are continuing to do in a certain way because that's the way you've always done it, but you could really eliminate so much of that process, what are we doing here? Eliminate it, adapt, grow, figure out new ways to do things, more efficient ways to do things. It will make you more valuable in the long run. And it will save you so much stress and time. And then also you want to work on managing your expectations. What are your expectations of yourself and how do those measure up to the expectations of the organization? Because if your expectations of yourself are up here and your workplace expectations are down here, honey, bring it down a bit. Like, you don't need to be doing all of this. They don't even need you to do that. You don't get paid to do it. They don't give you extra anything for that, except for stress. So let it go. Not everything has to be perfect. You don't have to take on all of this extra stuff. So what are the expectations and where are you at in that regard? And also, if your expectations of yourself are down here and your workplace is up here, maybe you need to find another workplace that has lower expectations, that is maybe less stressful or less demanding, so that you aren't so like overwhelmed trying to meet their expectations when you really don't care that much. All right, so those are some ways that you can set boundaries. Another thing that you want to do for practical strategies is time management. Have you ever heard somebody say like, oh, if there were just more hours in the day, then I could get all this done? No. If you have not enough hours in the day to get your work done, it doesn't matter if you had more. You're still not going to get all your work done because you are probably the type of person who continues to take on more and more and more to fill up that space because you don't like to feel not busy. So even if you had more hours in the day, it's not going to actually do anything for you, but give you more to do. Start to challenge your own habits or your own beliefs around how you schedule things. Start to ask yourself, am I prioritizing effectively? Am I really choosing the top priority things? And am I working on those first? Or am I doing all of these smaller, lower priority things, which is then putting me in a stressful situation at the end of the day where I need to work on my big priority things. And so then I end up staying late, or I end up working on weekends because I need to get to that high priority thing because I wanted to do all of these little things to make me feel good and like feel accomplished. What are we doing? So make sure you are prioritizing your tasks and then actually executing in order of priority. There are also things like the Pomodoro method or time blocking. Both of these can be really effective in managing your time. Depending on what industry you're in or what your job requirements are, like sometimes this can be harder if you're taking a lot of phone calls or answering a lot of client requests. Whereas if you're doing deeper work or more concentrated work, project-based work, these methods can be really helpful in time management. But I have an entire video on time management and how to more effectively manage your time, so I will link that down below. And then the last practical strategy that you must implement is daily self-care. And I'm not talking going to get a manicure or pedicure, taking a bath. I'm talking about getting exercise. I'm talking about eating a healthy meal. I'm talking about drinking your water. I'm talking about limiting your screen time, getting good sleep. I'm talking about taking your breaks at work. I'm talking about journaling or meditating, doing something mindful to help your mental, physical, and emotional well-being be healthy. That is the type of self-care that I'm talking about. So make sure that you are choosing at least one thing every single day that is giving back to yourself. Give yourself that daily nourishment so that you can really start to build resilience in your body, in your mind. Because when it comes to our workload, we really need to be in our peak physical, mental, and emotional state. If we are feeling drained, if we are stressed, if we are tired, we will not be able to execute on our workload at the same level as we would if we were in a healthy space. And so if you're struggling with your workload because you keep procrastinating or you can't focus or you're so tired and you keep having to run and go get another coffee and interrupt your day, then yeah, we need to do some recalibration of our nervous systems. We need to do some recalibration of our energy systems. And that's not by going to get another cup of coffee. It's by getting better sleep at night. It's by eating better. It's by drinking more water and keeping your body hydrated. Those are the things that are going to really impact the level of focus and the level of energy that you have throughout your day. It's also going to impact your positive mindset, which is going to build resilience. And that resilience is really going to help you to continue to make your way through that to-do list or make your way through that project or truly stay on top of that workload. So those are my tips on how to start getting ahead of managing your workload to try to alleviate some of that pressure or stress when it comes to an unsustainable workload. I have been there. I have done that. I've gone through the periods of time where I'm choosing actively. I am an active participant in adding to my workload because I wasn't setting boundaries, because I wasn't saying no, because I wanted to be the hero. I've also been in the position where I would say no to people and I would get put in a really uncomfortable situation between a client and a boss or a coworker where maybe I could say no, but I would probably get fired or I would probably have a really bad reputation with the client at the end of that. And I don't know about you guys, but I take my reputation with clients very seriously because you never know when you could work with that person in the future. You never know if they could be the person that gives you a job in the future. You just never know when you're going to run into people again. And so I always took it very seriously in my work that if my organization was putting me in a tough spot with a client and I would end up looking unprofessional, then I would always do what had to be done to set myself up for the most success professionally. However, it was always like, all right, noted. And that is when I really started to identify some of the toxic workplace behaviors, because a workplace should not be plowing over your boundaries, especially if the boundaries aren't interfering with your day-to-day responsibilities, or if they aren't interfering with your job description and they're just trying to put more on you or trying to make you do something that you don't get paid for. Nah. So hopefully this was helpful. If you are in a situation where you're like, Tony, all of this is great, but like I need help because this is overwhelming to me. I don't know where to start. Let's get on a call. I offer free initial sessions. These are 45-minute sessions where we can actually talk about what you're currently experiencing. How are you operating? What are the things that you're going through? And then we can really start to put together a plan at how to overcome your burnout, your stress, your overwhelm, your unsustainable workload. But we really need to get to the root cause, and I can help you discover what that is on this call. And then we start to put together an action plan of how you can overcome this in the future. No strings attached. So if you want to schedule one of those sessions, the link is down below. You just book a time and then I will meet with you on Zoom. If you are not ready to take that next step yet, I actually have a brand new freebie available. If you've been rocking with me for a while, it's been a free burnout training, but I've actually just released a free version of my feelings toolbox. So the feelings toolbox is essentially this place where you can go and say, I am feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling doubtful. You pick how you're feeling, and then it gives you a list of different options of how you can start to release that emotion. You can do EFT, you can do affirmations, you can do meditations, there are workouts, there are all these different really amazing tools to help you process that emotion and work through it. So I've just released a free version. It's for the feeling stress. All of the different tools for the stressed feeling are within the free version. So you'll get full access to that one feeling. And then if you want to purchase the full version, you can do that directly from the link in the free version. I want to thank you so much for being here with me. As always, it means the world to me that you are on this journey with me. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and the bell if you want to get notified every single time I post a video. I post every Monday and 2 Wednesdays per month. I also would love it if you would leave me a comment. Let me know how this episode impacted you or what you're going to implement going forward. I absolutely love hearing from you guys. So it means the world to me when you actually talk back to me. And then, of course, hit that like button so that I know that this is something that you would like to see more of in the future. I hope that you have a wonderful week ahead. I love you so much, and I'm wishing you so much fulfillment and happiness. Until next time, take care.